Are you curious about what my first impression was when I first moved to France? Well, stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to share exactly that. Now, if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that each time I upload a video about living in France, moving abroad, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms, you will be notified. My name is Patricia Brooks, and in 2018, I quit my job and I moved to the south of France. And I have gained a real world education over the last few years. And one of the things that I want to share with you is this one particular culture shock that was the first thing that struck me. And no, it wasn't how good or fresh the food tasted. It wasn't about how French people greeted me. It has to do with the size of things here in France. Everything seems to be smaller. Now, as an American, I have been raised around this supersize mentality where bigger is better and package sizes are better and big cars and all of that. So coming here to France, it really kind of struck me about how small so many things are. I'm going to start off by talking about packaging size. I went to the grocery store and I was looking for a package of lunch meat. Lunch meat was something that I bought a lot of in the United States because going into a job every day, I would pack a sandwich every day. And the packages of lunch meat are pretty big there. But here in France, you can find lunch meat in packages with 2 slices or 4 slices or maybe 6 slices. And I was like, where is the real lunch meat? But now, 6 slices of lunch meat is perfectly fine for me. And the reason is, if I make a sandwich for 3 days in a row and I put 2 slices of lunch meat on my sandwich, by that 3rd day, that sandwich just doesn't taste quite fresh. And I think that that's because there are probably fewer preservatives in the meats here. And so that's a good reason not to have supersized packages of lunch meat. And now I don't go into a job every day, so I don't need to pack a sandwich every day. So it's not a problem. But initially, I had this habit that I was trying to continue here in France, but not a problem anymore. There are other things in the supermarket that are smaller in size, like Ziploc bags. Now, in addition to the fact that there aren't a huge variety of Ziploc bag sizes, you can get Ziplocs in 20 Ziploc boxes. You're not going to see the 50 or 100 Ziplocs in a box here. Just not going to find it. And that's okay too now because I'm also not using the baggies to pack my lunch with or the little snack size for snacks for my lunchbox. So that's fine for me, but it is another thing that is smaller. Now, coming from the grocery store back home, the other thing that you might be surprised is smaller here are refrigerators. Now, in my first apartment, I had an American-sized refrigerator. That's the term for it, an American-sized refrigerator, meaning it's pretty big. But in my apartment right now, my refrigerator is pretty small. I am taller than my refrigerator, which means that the refrigerator section is smaller, and so is the freezer section. So if I'm going grocery shopping and I want to get some frozen vegetables and maybe a chicken that I'll break down and freeze some of the parts, I need to be pretty sure that there is enough room in my freezer or else I'm going to have a problem. This is nothing that I ever had to consider when I was living in the United States. But I adjust. Another thing that is pretty small here are packages of medication. Now, in the springtime, I suffer from allergies. So I went to the pharmacy my first year here and I went to get some antihistamine. And the pharmacy tech handed me a box of 7 pills. 7 pills that would last me 7 days. And this was at the beginning of spring. And I said to her, "Oh, but there are only 7 in here. I've got allergies all spring." And she smiled and she said yes. And so I asked for a second box. In the United States, you can get bottles of medicine, headache medicine, allergy medicine, 25, 50, 100 pills all at once. And so this was a big adjustment for me, has been, still is a big adjustment for me. Things just are smaller here. Something else that I have noticed to be smaller here are the people. They're smaller in not only, weight, but also in height. As I've been dating some French guys here, they have been my height, and I'm 5'4" tall, or slightly taller. And that has not been my experience in the United States. People just seem to be taller in the United States. Not good, not bad, just something that was noticeable. And finally, things that have to do with driving here are smaller. So cars here are smaller, much, much smaller. And I'm starting to get used to how funny they look to me now, and the size, but they're smaller. The roads here are more narrow, so it's a good thing that the cars are smaller. And sometimes there are roads that are two-way, but really are one lane. So if there are two cars going in opposite directions, one of them is going to have to stop or even back up to allow the other car to go through. Along with small cars and small roads are small parking spots and small areas to park, like parking garages, parking lots. Sometimes you have to do acrobatics with your car to get them into and out of those parking spots. This is something that I find pretty challenging. I'm getting more used to it, more comfortable with that. But when you're used to driving on wide roads and having huge parking spots, even if your car isn't that big, you can feel a little bit constricted being on smaller roads and in smaller parking spaces. And finally, with driving, traffic lights are shorter here. In the United States, you will see a traffic light across the intersection high up so that you can see when the light is changing from wherever you are waiting for that light to change. Here in France, they are short. So if you drive too close to the intersection, you might not be able to see the traffic light because it is so low. And so I have had to make sure that when I'm stopping at a traffic light that I am far enough back so I don't have to crane my head and kind of look out the side to see if the light has changed and I can go forward. And so that is another thing that is just smaller here in France. Now, which of those do you think you would have the hardest time adjusting to? Comment below. If you are considering making a move to a foreign country, but aren't really sure where to start or feel a bit overwhelmed, then maybe we should talk. I'll put a link to my calendar in the description where you can schedule time for us to talk. Figure out where you are now, where you want to be, what's holding you back, and if working with me might be the answer. If you found this video helpful or insightful, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.